Hey, welcome to Manifest Unfiltered with Crystal and Randy. In this episode, Crystal and I want to talk about like manifesting relationships, a partner, the energy that goes behind that. And we also want to talk about, how to let go, how to release, which kind of ties into cord cutting. And then we also want to cover, the difference between a psychic attack and an energetic attack, which can happen during a relationship. And then the last topic we're going to dive into is like channeling. So it's going to be a cool episode. If any of this sounds interesting to you, then definitely stay. So the first thing, relationships. I actually, before we get into relationships, Crystal, when you were single, before you met Trav, like A, were you looking for a partner? And B, at that time of your life, because how old were you? 20.
23, I think. I just graduated post-secondary, so I think I was 23.
So at 20.
We had a little joke in our family that I know I got married just before 25 because dad used to always joke that I'd be a spinster at 25, and he'd put an ad in the Western Producer, please send picture of boat and truck. Single and looking, please send picture of boat and truck. Like, yeah.
Dad is freaking funny. Okay, so at 23, did did you know what manifesting was, or like the energy portion of all that back at 23, or you were just winging it, living life, and kind of searching
I
for a
went
partner?
I was doing it without realizing I was doing it. So, like, a little backstory about me is that we grew up like very rough. My parents had a brutal divorce, and it was not like an easy process growing up in that house with that dynamic. And so I used to always say that, I'm never going to marry a man. This is never going to be my life. I'm never raising my children like this. Like, so I was already putting that energy out there. Every time something shitty would happen, I would say, like, right after it happened, like, I'm never fucking doing this. I'm never doing this. From the time I can remember being like, oh crap, I want to say like I was like in that between that grade 1 and 3, like I had to be about grade 1 or grade 2. And I remember them fighting in the hallway, and like the alarm clock going through the window outside and glass everywhere, and waking up to that shatter. And just going, I'm never I never want to live like this. So I think I was doing it at a very young age, just didn't know it.
I think a lot of us are doing it at a young age, not knowingly what we're doing and what we're putting out there. It's kind of crazy. It's such a childhood compared to like my childhood. Like my
I
parents,
know, when we're cousins.
I don't remember all of it. Like they're like, how are you so loud and like social? And like I'm so opposite of my parents. I had to be though. Like I had to force myself to do this. So it's such a crazy environment. Like the worst fight my parents, Darren and I were actually laughing about this the other day. We were watching a movie and one of the guys was fighting, like she wanted a divorce, so the guy just jumped out of the car and ran away. Yeah. My dad did
That would
that.
be your dad.
He totally just like my mom was still driving, so he like but slow in town. He like steamrolled and like ran away because nobody can talk about it. Like
That's
that.
so hilarious. To get back to the original question,
Yeah.
23-ish, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. And I absolutely was not looking for anybody. I'd kind of given up. I dated quite a few bums. I was a little bit of a bum magnet for like quite a stretch. Like, I had a hot streak going. And then I just said, like, screw it. I don't want any part of this. And then, yeah, when I quit looking, that's when I met my husband in the weirdest place ever.
Tell them how you met him. I think this is the funniest. Like I love this story.
Okay, so I worked with a guy, and it turned out it was my husband's like very close friend, and they were all travel buddies. And my girlfriend and I were going on a vacation, and so the guy I worked with said, "Hey, why don't you guys hook up with us, and we can probably get a better price because there's 5 of us booking versus you know, you're two and us three. And then that way, when you guys are traveling, there's some guys with you. And, it'll just be, we can go do our own thing or whatever. Right. So I was like, oh, save a buck. Absolutely. Like, that little bit of security of having three guys with us. Yeah. Okay. And so it turned out, yeah, met him. He boarded the plane, like not with us. He boarded in a different airport because he lived in a different city. And we met, like, transferred in Toronto and went down to Cuba back like 30 years ago. It was very different than the Cuba it is now. And yeah, hooked up on the first day. I'm not gonna lie. I've been together ever since.
Awesome. But isn't that
Yeah.
awesome? I feel like when you're not putting so much that desperate energy out there and that I want this, I want this, I want this so bad is when it's like the energy just kind of relaxes a bit. You're not like, and it just mellows out and then it goes to with the things that you were putting out there.
Well, the thing I
Right.
find funny about it, like I love, is that we actually grew up 45 minutes away from each other our
I
whole
know.
lives. So like his team, like when he played school sports and sports would come compete against our team. I was on the school board or school, what do you call that? Like not school board, but council. That's what it is. God, that's a flashback. And then, so I was always planning and a social convener on those events. And so, we'd come in and meet the teams and all that kind of stuff. And here's your space. And so our lives were like always just, okay, this is a funny story. But I went to a ball tournament in his hometown and I played slow pitch with a bunch of older people. I was the youngest one. But anyway, like if anybody's ever played slow pitch, gone to those big ball tournaments, like there's different levels of teams. So then you have like your great expert teams that go to compete, and then you have your beer league. So I had the beer league and we had so much fun. But anyway, one day I got a little pickled, like really pickled. And so I was like trying to run around the bases because somebody hit like a hard ball. And I was running and running and running, but I was so kind of tipsy. I tripped over my own 2 feet and fell across home base. And they called me out for sliding. I was like, okay, obviously I'm drunk. Obviously I tripped. Like there was no slide intended. And we were talking one day, and my husband's like, "Oh yeah, you used to come to that ball tournament. Yeah, one time there was this chick there that got." And I was just like, "Oh my god, that was me." You married the drunk chick that fell across home plate and got called out for sliding. He's like, "Oh my god, I what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go home and tell all your friends." Like, proud moment.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Actually, I guess it's at the same scenario as Darren and I. We're like 35 minutes away from each other, not knowing each other. He's older than me, obviously, but yeah. So like when I found Darren, it was the same thing. I wasn't really looking because I was engaged before you guys. I had the house, the white picket fence, the two dogs, the things. And I didn't want to be married to him. But when he proposed, because I'm such a fucking people pleaser, I said yes.
So
I said no.
obligated.
He's like, do you want to marry? I'm like, no. And then I just saw his sad, disappointed face. I'm like, I'm just kidding. Of course I will. I felt shitty. Like, oh my God, the lessons. I had no like self love for myself then or like boundaries or like. And then when I left him, I think we were engaged for 2 years, maybe. I can't remember how long. And then when I finally decided to leave that relationship, and everything was separated and I was just finally by myself in my home. And then like I'm not focusing on guys. I'm not focusing on a partner, a relationship at all. I'm focused on myself. So I booked my trip. I booked 7 weeks to India and Africa. So I can learn yoga and like just focus on myself, increase my self-love, all that stuff. What I want to say, I booked that. And 2 months later I meet Darren. Like I'm totally not looking and I ran away from him. I'm not looking. No.
So if you
Like,
guys have met your partner not looking, I want to hear about it in the comments. Because
yeah.
those are, I think the reason why it is when that happens is because we're completely out of our way. We've given up, like you've set your intentions. You've kind of did that a while ago. You've said what you wanted and you've kind of had some unsuccess, if you will. And then you've just given up, said, screw it, I'm done. I just need to take a break from this. And then that's why it happens. Is you're just
Yeah.
out of your way. You're not over analyzing. You're not trying to dissect everything.
Worrying about when, panicking about like doubt or any of that kind of stuff kicking in.
Yeah. Or sabotaging. Cause like how many I know women that do this, and we've all seen that where you overanalyze after the first date. Oh my gosh, is he the one? Could he be the one? Like, and then you just go into this like crazy snowstorm. You put off
Control.
crazy vibes. Yeah.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, and then women just can put off, or men too, but it's crazy vibes.
Yeah.
And the other person feels it. It's like a desperate vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You can totally feel that in a room. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say then would be like, so you wanted, what would you say then would be a really good energetically way
And
to,
this is, oh, go ahead.
no, just saying, what would you say energetically? What would you do to attract your partner besides like obviously just letting go and let the universe do its job?
Okay, one thing I did with my girls, and we teach that in Basic Bitch, is the manifesting boards. But
Yeah.
if you don't know how to build one of those, what I would suggest to people is write a list, a very detailed list. And I mean, not so crazy that, he's got to have brown hair and green eyes and that exact, but list the attributes that you want. Like, I want to find him physically attractive, and just leave it at that, and detail everything that you want in a partner, and don't be shy. Like, make that list and come back to it. Make a list also on the other side of the page of all the attributes you do not want. And I mean, if you've been out in the dating world, you will have a big long list to pull from. Don't scrimp
Yeah.
on that. So, and I think that one of the things that lots of people, when they're manifesting, they get caught up in the more of the physical attributes. Like, I want him to have a house, I want him to be financially successful. But lots of times, and this is just my honest opinion, I know everybody likes that. But if you have met somebody, there's something after being married for 30 some years to be said for each having 10 cents and building a life together. You don't actually need, I think, especially when you're younger, obviously you want somebody with a work ethic, somebody who is motivated, but do you need them to be financially successful? Like, why can you not build that life together? Sometimes men just really need that connection, that motivation, of building a life together, and the provider role, I think, in order to go out and be successful and achieve those things. So that's my, if you're going to make your list, look at the big picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and the manifestation boards are pretty cool because after you did them with your girls, like honestly, how long did it take for them to find their partners? Like your one daughter's getting married now this summer. So like that, it fucking worked. Like
Yeah.
how long
Brooklyn's
ago?
worked pretty quick. She like he was her for I mean her high school boyfriend. And I honestly believe in the rule of three. Like, I think it's your third. So you kind of have your first love, and it's very
Yeah.
uninhibited, where it's just wild and free and you give your heart completely. And then I think your second relationship is where you really learn your life lessons. Like, that is a hard relationship, that is a hard breakup, and you learn so much from that relationship. And then your third relationship, your deep meaning, your connection, where you're like, okay, I am ready and I am at a point where I can go forward. So I'm not talking like for those people that go, no, I'm on my seventh. No, Like, think about that. Like, not your superficials where you dated for 3 months, or if you're one of those people that like think everybody could be your potential. But if you look for the pattern, there's three majors in your life.
Well, I was engaged 3 times.
Three
Darren,
times.
yeah, Darren's number 3.
Oh, who am I missing? I knew about the, I won't say his name.
The one before him, Kelly.
What the fuck?
We didn't really connect. You and I didn't really like talk that much then, but yeah, I was with him probably for like 4 or 5 years ish.
Is that like your
Yeah.
high school?
No, God no, God no. If I was with my high school guy, he just went into like hardcore drugs and he went down a really bad avenue. Yeah, yeah. So third time's a charm.
So for those that are wondering, Randy and I have a 10-year age difference. I know it's
Yeah.
really hard to believe by looking at me, but
You and I did not communicate.
No, so like we were close. I used to babysit her when she was younger all the time. And then, when she kind of went through her teen years, I was off in post-secondary, just got married, had babies, crazy busy, building a company. And then, just kind of reconnect. We'd do family things, get-togethers, but not like we
I
are
like
now.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 times the charm. So yeah. And then the other thing is, like we said, letting go. It is really hard. I think that's the number one struggle that most people deal with during any kind of manifesting journey, any kind of spiritual personal development journey is just letting go of the past, letting go of expectations, letting go of like everything. It's so hard to do. And
Well,
people
there's a
always talk,
comfort. Yeah, there's a comfort in what you know. Like, as bad as it is, you know how to function in that. If you have a relationship after relationship that's so dysfunctional, you know what to expect there. And I think there is that element of energy, vibration, a comfort level. Your body has been conditioned to function in that environment. And so I think that's why when you're trying to manifest something so completely different, people end up sabotaging themselves in the sense like, I'm not really attracted to him. He's not my type, because right, your type, is going to do 5 to 10 years eventually. So, you got to think a little differently.
now kind of triggered my memory because when I said I booked that India and Africa trip, Darren wanted to come. I'm like, you can't come to India. That's just all for me, but you can meet me in Africa. So he landed in Africa a day before. So my friends picked him up and then I met him at the apartment. But during that whole trip, I was trying to find things that I didn't like about him on purpose. Obviously, I didn't know I was doing it for self-sabotaging reasons because
Mhm.
it's a healthier relationship. It was, it wasn't like you said. I was kind of a bum magnet too. In the last relationship, and I had to put up with a lot of shit. And this one, it would have been more like equal partners in that sense. So it was just very different for me. So I remember just like talking to my girlfriend, and we were in Mombasa at the time, and we're sitting on the beach. I'm like, I just don't fucking think he's right for me. Like, look at and I'm just like, she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just would try to kill it and wreck it. But then I kind of caught myself doing that and kind of reined back in. But I think a lot of people do that more than they realize.
I think you have to be like when you are manifesting something like a partner like this, I think it is here, especially and in this environment, the place where you need to be the most aware of who you are, your behaviors, and what you do.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, otherwise you're just going to keep attracting the same type of person over and over and over again. And because that's what vibes with you, that's what mixes with you. So unless you can take a look at yourself and do that deep inner work and be really aware and vigilant. Did I say that right? Diligent. You're going to sabotage yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that letting go piece is hard. That's why, like Crystal, like we created, it's coming soon. It's called Aligned. It's all about surrendering and letting go and actually teaching you the steps to do that. Because not very many people do. It's hard. And it's a
Yeah.
so you can go forward in your manifesting journey with like ease and confidence. Now, like, so we talked about like attracting a partner, but I also want to talk about like other relationships during, the spiritual growth, your manifesting journey, like friendships, family members, because that happens a lot too. Like, I don't know if you listened to the last episode where Crystal was mentioning, like, relationships change. Divorce is very common when people go down this path, but it's probably a huge influence, an environmental influence on yourself during this journey. And it's hard to sometimes navigate and manage, right? Because you change, you're elevating, you're raising your vibration, your frequency, and maybe the people around you are not. So the people around you are kind of like getting uncomfortable with this new version of you, and things shift between you and other people.
It happens almost all of
Yeah.
the time. But the thing I find like kind of sad in a way, like there's so much talk about like just that letting go, you know, getting rid of what doesn't serve you. And unfortunately, when you go through this manifesting and spiritual journey, lots of people feel that that includes people as well. People that have been huge parts of your life for so long, and then all of a sudden you don't kind of vibe the same, so you think you got to axe them out. And that kind of goes back to what you've said before, how went with the whole toxic positivity thing where, they're not on the same level as me. I need to get rid of them so I can manifest and go forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, but then there is also a time and place where some individuals are not actually genuinely serving you and helping you along your way. Like, so because I was such a people pleaser in the past, I really had to learn like who I am, my values, my boundaries, myself. So that took years for me to establish that. And then I did have this long-term friendship. And as I was growing more in that area of like, putting my needs first, stepping up my boundaries, and like kind of what I value in a friendship too, like that was changing for me as well. So while that happened, I did realize this specific individual was not good for me, because anytime she wanted to hang out, both Darren and I would have extreme anxiety. I'm like, we wouldn't look forward to it anymore. We used to in the past, but I don't know if like, I feel like Darren kind of like, I feel like I was changing, and then Darren kind of grew a bit with me in that area, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so we were both starting to feel like that with this for like years. Like, and so I didn't know what to do. It drove me crazy. So then I would do energy work. I would talk to our mentor, Douglas, about it and clean up some things, like, because it was a hard decision, because that person was married to a friend of mine since we were little kids. So it was a hard thing to do. And so what I decided to do was just step back for a bit. I just wanted to step back and figure, okay, where is this anxiety really coming from? Is it because I have new values and friendships, or is it because something internal inside myself that I actually have to work on? Anyways, long story short, it didn't go well. It did not go well. And then, but when I was with that person, my energy, I allowed it to. So when you get better at controlling yourself and your energy, this won't happen to you. But I wasn't that good at controlling it yet. But I allowed my energy to drop every single time I was with this person. You know what I mean? Like my vibration, it just went whoosh.
That's one of the things that we've worked on together a lot, was that ability to control your energy. So like when you're vibing really high, so this is just kind of something a lot of mediums do, whether they know it or not. But like when you're connecting, you're raising your vibration to the other side and channeling, and we'll get into that later, but you're raising your vibration. But then you can also learn to lower and raise your vibration up and down. So if you're walking into a room where, say, it's, a family dinner, and you have some toxic aunts and uncles, and, your grandma's a bit of a complainer, but highly entertaining, you love her, she's your grandma, but you find it very difficult to function in that environment. I know in the past it's just been lots of, put yourself in a bubble, but you can actually learn to lower your vibration so you can function in that environment and not have it like your nails on a chalkboard.
But
And
the key,
then when you're done, yeah, kind of cut that cord and raise it back up.
yeah, but the key thing when I was doing, you guys, was again, what not to do is I lowered it and absorbed. I
Oh yeah.
absorbed the shit so much. I took on other people's stuff so much that all of a sudden I was feeling these weird emotions, and all of a sudden, like, I feel like crying. It's just, it was too much. Like, but thank God for Crystal and our other like mentor energy guy, because I can control that now. And I think like how many years ago was that? Was the first time I went back to my hometown. I didn't I didn't have anxiety. I was just like, oh, this is what normal functioning, healthy functioning feels like. So, but I wouldn't have learned how to do that and recognize that unless I went through that weird relationship phase, ending phase with that friend.
I remember you coming back from that going like you were able just to sit back, almost like watching everybody in a bubble, like, like their own little tornadoes, their own little behaviors, and just sitting back and just silently observing all of the processes and going, I'm not a part of your circus. I'm not a part of your circus. I'm not a part of your circus.
It was, yeah, it was liberating. It was like, oh, I just felt so free. I felt so good. And I didn't necessarily care about, like, I always care what people think. Oh my God, like I used to be like, right, that people pleaser, caring person, whatever. And I just didn't. It was it was awesome. So I'm thankful for that moment. So, but when relationships aren't serving you, there is some that you do, unfortunately, will have to figure that out and navigate that and decide whether that relationship is serving you or not. And some aren't. And then some are family members that, like Crystal said, you just got to adjust your energy level to them to function and then fix it when you're done.
Well, I find like, so if we go back to the whole marriage thing again, like, and I think, like you said, Darren kind of rose with you, but I think that's what happens with people, like when they go through a spiritual awakening or to that extreme, right? Their energy, everything changes so much that, the husbands can't always come to that fast and then raise to that level. And you have lots of friction in the marriage because you're not compatible anymore or understanding each other anymore. And that's when things kind of go south. And then there it goes back to that belief that you have to be positive and gratitude and all of those things in order to manifest. And you start looking at that person as weighing you down. And then they start looking at their friends as weighing them down and their family members as weighing them down. And I don't think that is always very healthy because people end up cutting people out of their lives that they don't need to cut out just because they can't handle their own energy. And I find that very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And like, don't get me wrong. There's times Zarin doesn't join me, or it takes him years to join me. Like, you can ask Crystal when my energy is high. Darren cannot handle it because
No,
it's too high for him. And same with Trav. Trav is like, oh my
I
God,
would
girl.
go somewhere for a spiritual retreat, and Trav knows I'm off the wall coming home wired. So I would walk through the door and there'd be like a nice big steak cooked for me because that's very grounding, and a baked potato and like just this heavy comfort food. And I would be like, and I'd eat my supper and he would just watch me come from, on a scale from 1 to 10, from a 10 down to a 5. And he'd be like, okay, now I can stand her.
So that's funny because like since I told Darren that, he's like, okay, well, what's yours? Because I don't really eat steak. You know what grounding thing is like, a thick, creamy, spicy, like Thai curry, rice and vegetables and tofu. That's mine. So now, or is it Thai night? That's what he'll say to me. So I'm like, too high. So relieved to hear like you guys go through that too, because at times he's like, I gotta leave this room. Like I can't fucking handle this.
Yeah, well, I
It's
think
just
when I first like had my big thing, you know, when it all kind of clicked for me and made sense in my mind, like I knew I was changing and I was changing fast because things were happening to me as a medium that I didn't understand at the time, but I was struggling to just kind of function. and keep up and cope. And I can't imagine what my husband must have been like watching me going, oh, like our whole lives are changing. My wife's changing in front of me. Like, I just kind of changed overnight. Like I
It's
quit
a
drinking,
gradual.
quit smoking, and
Oh,
but mine was a serious crash, like everything overnight. He didn't get
yeah.
that nice gradual.
But I think it is gradual. You just don't know it until you wake up that next day and it's like, oh fuck. Then I think, so I do think it's gradual.
Yeah,
If you
I think I
back
don't know.
all the things you've been through and all of the training and all of the, you know what I mean, experiences, like I think it is gradual for everyone. It's just that one day we wake up and it's just like the light bulb goes off and just like, whoa, like what you said, everything just is changed and it's different.
Yeah.
But maybe not for everyone, but that's just how I see it. Totally do. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been pretty gradual. I don't know. I just feel like it was just like bang in a year. So I don't know if you consider that
I think
gradual.
well, I don't know. A year is a long time and a short time in the same breath for change.
Yeah.
It's not like it was a month.
No, it depends, I guess, if you're the one sitting back watching your partner completely change in front of you and you're going, does this mean like we're not doing this anymore? Does this mean we're not doing this anymore?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for the partners, but it's also better for the partners because, like we said, when they join you, they're different. They're healthier. They're more grounded. They accept themselves more. Like there's so many more positive things if you can just have that patience to get through that
Hmm.
transition stage. It's so worth it. And sometimes it's a
Absolutely.
stage for couples, but if you can just like, I think you and I talked about this before, like the number one tool during this transformation and growth is just communication. Like, hey, this is
Yeah.
what I'm going through.
And it's about like, I think too, sometimes when people start going through like a spiritual journey, and then you get into that, like I said, wanting to get rid of everything that's negative in your life. Sorry, I
Yeah.
lost my train of thought. Um, oh well, maybe it'll come back to me.
Okay, but you're just talking about like wanting to get rid of the negative things in your life.
Oh, sorry. Yes, okay, come back. So it's about meeting them at their level. Like, like just not like put aside your expectations for 1 second and actually see them at their level. And if you are going through a big spiritual awakening and you're able, to find yourself connecting to energies that you hadn't before and, your guides and those kinds of things, then you actually have the ability to connect to your partner's energy. And you have the ability, if you want to, if you choose to, but sometimes we're so focused on everything that we're coping with and how everything makes us feel, and you become very introverted because now suddenly the world is about you. But if you actually took 2 seconds to look at your partner or your spouse and your friends, your family members, and actually to see them at their level, what they're able to do and their energy levels, it's very easy just to accept and help them raise their vibration as opposed to just cutting them out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And that's a pretty cool thing, like when you tap into each other's energy. Like Crystal, and I sometimes like, we even sometimes like help them remove blocks or clean up energy, things that are holding them back, things that are not serving them anymore. And that's pretty cool. So
Mhm.
that all can grow.
That was the one thing
And
I asked Trap, like when I first started working with energy outside myself. I'd say, will you be my guinea pig? Can I play? Like, he'd be like, yeah, whatever. He'd sit there, do your thing. I don't care. Can I watch TV while you do it? Sure. I don't care. Like, it doesn't have to be so serious.
so kind of like, I kind of want to go back into that friendship I was talking about because that led into like kind of our, I think, do you have anything else to say about relationship before I go into the next topic?
No, I don't
Okay,
think
because
so.
I go into now like the energy and psychic attacks, and then we'll go into cord cutting.